Let's do 5,808 divided by 8. So if you're working with the slideshow, just click and type to get those numbers in. iPad, you're going to double tap. And then you can also just follow along on a piece of paper or whiteboard. 5,808 is our dividend. So imagine you had 5,808 pieces of candy and you're splitting them up among 8 friends. And so the question is, how many are you going to get? How many each person going to get? And you could go one for you, one for you, one for you, and divide that up, but we have an algorithm that makes it easier to do so. And basically we're dividing, but we're just going to do a digit at a time. So here are steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide is purple, then you multiply red, subtract green, bring down blue, back to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, divide, multiply, and subtract at the end to check that there's no remainder. There's a relationship between division and multiplication. So when we say 58 divided by 8, we're also saying, how many 8s can you skip count or multiply to get close to 58? So for that reason, it can be really helpful if you skip count your 8s. Just grab a piece of paper or draw a text box like I'm doing and write out your multiples of 8. So 1 8, that's 2 8s, that's 3 8s, etc. Okay, now we're going to start. So it's really helpful if you start on your own and then unpause the video and just use this to help check your work rather than just watching, because then you'll really be using your brain and really trying it yourself and you'll remember this better. So normally we would do 5 divided by 8, but 5 is a small number. If I had 5 pieces of candy and 8 friends to give them to, I don't have enough to divide it up. So I'm going to take 58 instead, this whole number here. And we're saying 58 divided by 8. In other words, how many 8s can fit in to 58 before you go over? So you can see that we can get pretty close to 58 here. We got to 56. The question is, 8 times what got us to 56? How many 8s did we do? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 can fit into 58 7 times. Our next step is to multiply, and if you're ever stuck, just think it's the last thing you touched, and we just put this 7 down, so that's what we're going to do. Multiply 7 times 8, which we know because we were just looking at it. 7 times 8 is 56. All right, our next step is to subtract to see if there's anything left over, because we have to include that as we move to the next digit. So we had 2 left over, and then we bring down your next digit. We're using that 2 from the leftover, but we're also including the 0 so that we can continue down the line. So at this point, a lot of people get stuck, but just remember, once you get that blue, you come back up to the purple up here. So we're going to do 20 divided by 8. So pause the video and look and see how many times can 8 fit into 20. The answer is 2, because you can skip count your 8 1, 2 times before you go over. That's too far. All right, 2 times. Next step is to multiply. 2 times 8 is 16. So you got pretty close to 20. We didn't go over, but there is some left over, which is why we now subtract. 20 minus 16 is 4. And then we bring down the 8. All right, see if you can pause the video and finish it up on your own and then unpause and check it. I'm going to go ahead and finish up here. So how many times can 8 fit into 48? In other words, 48 divided by 8 is 6. And then you just multiply that back down to check that there's no remainder. Nothing left over. So 5,808 divided by 8 is 726. That's our quotient.